Welcome back, dear viewers. You're still watching Nile Cruise on Nile TV, and in this segment, dear viewers, we have with us a very important guest, which is Mr. Yasser Sabak, and Monuments Inspector at East Cairo. Dear viewers, the Mosque Madrasa of Sultan Hasan is a massive mosque and a madrasa located in the old city of Cairo. It was built during the Mamluk Islamic era in Egypt. Its construction had begun 757 AH, 1356 CE, with work ending 3 years later without even a single day of not working. At that time of construction, the mosque was considered remarkable for its fantastic size and innovative architectural components. Commissioned by Nasir Hasan. Of course, we'll be knowing more from Mr. Yasser. Very good day, sir, and it's a pleasure to have us with us today in today's episode of Nile Cruise.
Thank you for coming in, and as Rana said, it's a very significant place. Tell us more about Sultan Hasan Mosque in terms of the special historic significance of this location and why it was built in the first place.
This place where was madrasa. What madrasa mean school, where this or the most famous school, not only here but in all of Egypt, maybe in all of the world. This madrasa was built by Sultan Hasan during the Mamluk period, and in this madrasa we can see a different or similar design for all of madrasas or all of schools around Egypt, where we find inside open court. The open court was surrounded with 4 big arches, where this is called Iwan. Iwan was dedicated for the students to study inside. To study what? To study Islamic or Islamic subjects, Islamic sect, where there were about 4 sects studied inside by the kids, where the school original was built for the kids where no parents, where the parents were died. So the king or Sultan Hasan, he found his role to build this one, and he attend the children to study and also to stay in, where we can see small rooms called the student cells, where the students were stayed inside, and the government giving them food and also education, as well as giving them health care, where there were here inside hospital, and also there was a water wheel to supply the school with groundwater, and also a big kitchen. There were also inside the special hospital dedicated for eyes problem. Why eyes problem? Because we know in these times kids mostly use ink to write, so the kids or the children no control for their hands. Sometimes they put their hands inside their eyes and do health problems for them. So there were doctors for eyes. So for this reason, we find the building too important, not only for his role, also for its construction, because this construction, biggest construction in Egypt. So we have in Giza the Great Pyramid, where we called the first pyramid in Giza was built by King Khufu or King Cheops, a great pyramid, and we called the Sultan Hasan Madrasa Pyramid of the Islamic history, because this biggest construction was built here. So for this reason, this is too important for the Islamic culture during the Mamluk period. I think not only during the Mamluk period, during all of the Islamic dynasty where ruled Egypt, this one's the most famous construction. Also for its location, very nice location.
Okay, what are the architectural treasures in Darb al-Ahmar region, sir?
Here we are in famous area called the Darb al-Ahmar. Darb al-Ahmar, too important area for any families or any people to visit.
So the mosque is located, the mosque and madrasa is located in
beginning of Darb al-Ahmar, because we are here in famous square called Sultan Hasan, called Saladin Square or Salah ad-Din Square. So this beginning of Darb al-Ahmar, it is location in between 2 important areas here. Darb al-Ahmar in other side behind Rifa'i Mosque, and on other side here we find Rifa'i, we find the Khalifa Street, where this is too important for Ahmad ibn Tulun and for a famous museum where we have seen before together called John Jair Anderson in other sides. So this in beginning of two different directions. When we talk about the Darb al-Ahmar, sure, the Darb al-Ahmar have a different Islamic buildings, different times where we find also more mosques in the Darb al-Ahmar, like Salih Tala'i Mosque, and also we find very famous mosque and nice mosque, beautiful mosque called Blue Mosque or Jami' al-Azraq, where we inside this one we can see a lot of blue tiles. So for this reason called Blue Mosque. And also we find in Darb al-Ahmar a lot of Islamic houses, like a famous house called Beit al-Razzaz, is a nice one, and also we have another house called Qaid Bay, as well as a lot of construction, like also Islamic walls for Cairo, where we know Cairo in Middle Ages was surrounded with defense walls. So in some areas in Darb al-Ahmar we can see remains of the enclosed wall for Islamic Cairo, and also we find some defense towers where the enclosed wall had a defense tower. So in Darb al-Ahmar, anyone want to visit, he can see a lot of building date back to different times, different history, different periods. So a lot of information about the Darb al-Ahmar. So very rich area with it is mosques and other religious buildings.
So you're talking about a very historic place that has been lasting for thousands of years. Has there been any changes that took place during these long years to this area where we are now?
For the monuments or for the old building here, no chance to do any change because it's historical building. If we did any change, no, this is not good. But we do only restoration. But if we talk about the area around, sure, the building around, not same building like before. When we look for the local area from time to another time, the people change their houses, their construction or something like this. But when we talk about Sultan Hasan or Rifa'i or other building around historical building, no chance for anybody to change.
Like where we are now, was it like that, or was it a street where there has been trains?
Sure, when we talk about the street where we sit now, no, before was open street for the cars, for the buses to go between the square here and go down to Muhammad Ali Street, because when we look in front of us directly here, we can see Muhammad Ali Street. So before the buses or cars and the people use this like street, normal street, but the Egyptian government wanted to protect the two important buildings here, Rifa'i Mosque and Sultan Hassan Madrasa. So there were a great decision when they closed this street and now only open for the workers, for the passengers to visit the area.
What are the challenges and threats that are facing this historic area, sir?
Some problems we have here, where sometimes we have some problem for groundwater because the area crowded with the people. So when you look for waste pipes at home became too much, and also the area here face some troubles for the construction, modern construction itself, where the people sometimes built a high building. High building here, no, we have a limited floors for the houses, but sometimes the people not respect the rules and they build their houses more higher. But always we try to protect the view for the monuments around, but not always we can do what we want to do.
We want to also talk about the challenges that we'll be facing, not just this historic area, but any historic area. I mean, definitely the government is doing its utmost efforts to help protect or preserve these heritage. But as you see, by nature and due to natural changes, we see buildings eroded, we see population increasing, and I mean buildings that were not even here 50 years ago. What kind of decisions do you think should be taken to preserve these historic areas?
Yeah, now when we look around, you find a lot of building where it is condition not good. So the government, I think, to play important role in this field, not or always giving the people a limited floors, because we want for the historical building to become always more higher. Because when become more higher, easy for the visitors to see what around and to see the facade for the building, where also we have around the buildings always we have empty or must be leave empty space in between the building or modern building or public building and the monuments. So by this we try to protect the areas, but also we want from the government also for the streets when some buildings are closer and destroyed, not giving them license or permission to build these houses again. Because always we need more large space around, because this helps visitors, passengers to see the facade. And other side also, when you look around the area, you find the culture for the local people, not enough culture to understand what is here or what this building mean, because mostly you find the public, they believe this building no own for this, so they want to do what they wanted to do. But from time to another time, we try to do more control, but we need also more knowledge for the public to protect the buildings beside us also.
Sir, are there any plans for recent restoration works carried out in the area?
Sure, most of the building here restored, and also when you look to Rifai Mosque behind us here, also this under the restoration, especially for it is ceiling now, it is roof, and now under the restoration. Sultan Hasan also from time to another time we do some restoration, and many times before restored by the Egyptian government, where a lot of parties, elements inside restored. And always when we find some problems happened with us, we do a restoration. Not only the restoration for the square where we are here, no, and around all of the area, many subjects now, or many projected now, and many projects now under the restoration.
Sir, President Fattah el-Sisi in the past 6 years have been giving directives to renovate every single antiquity we have here in Egypt, or every single museum in Egypt. Any directives to restore Sultan Hasan Mosque and Madrasa?
Mostly we do this by Egyptian government, and not we, any other groups not do work in here. So always tourism minister, or before was Minister of Antiques, we do a restoration for this one. But in cooperation with other...
Is it in the plan to restore it?
Sorry?
Is it in the plan to restore it?
Yeah, but mostly when you look for the mosque or madrasa like Sultan Hasan, it is condition now very good, so not need a restoration now. We have other location around need a restoration. So we
give examples, please.
For example, we have some restoration in famous mosque called Mardani Mosque. This is in cooperation between Egyptian government and the Aga Khan organization. Also, we have some project under the restoration by the Egyptian government. So many places around also will be do in the future more restoration for some other buildings around.
Yes, I want to also talk about the tourism and the flux of tourists to such places. I know that there's so much that one can see in Cairo, and specifically in Old Cairo. Can you tell us about the flux of tourism and what kind of tourism does it attract this area in particular?
Mostly when you look here to the tourism, we can talk about different kind for the tourism, but you find here mostly religious tourism, where a lot of people coming from different countries, Islamic countries, to visit these places, because it's religious places. Not only tourism or religious tourism, we have historical tourism or culture tourism, where a lot of people come from different countries. You find from Europe, from the United States, from Australia, from different countries come to visit the area here. Beside also the local tourism, where a lot of local people come to spend the time here and to visit Sultan Hasan Mosque, and also Rifai Mosque, because Rifai Mosque, famous mosque for royal family tombs, or Muhammad Ali.
I was just going to ask you that, because a lot of people were unaware that they were actually tombs from the royal family, and the Shah as well as being
Sure, where after the revolution when happened in Iran in 1979, Shah of Iran, he left Iran to United States. After that he came here during time of our president in this time, Sadat, and he stayed here for 2 years and he died. So or Shah was buried inside Rifa'i Mosque, and also King Farouk also buried inside, and also Khidewi Ismail and his wives, his daughters, a lot of people from Muhammad Ali dynasty were buried in here. So you find sometimes some people from the royal families come to visit, who are still wife of Shah Iran before came many times, and his family come to visit him here and celebrate with him. And also you find Muhammad Ali dynasty, some of them like Prince Ahmed come to visit his father here, and also the public like or prefer to visit these tombs and see royal family tombs.
Sir, the mosque Sultan Hassan is one of the largest in the world, and of course it is a very important place for visitors and tourists to enter and watch this amazing place. How do you see this, sir?
For Sultan Hassan, when you look, this very nice construction and a very great construction. So this is too attractive for any people to come to see. Because when you look, for example, to the facade, not find any historical building in same higher like this facade, and also look to the gate. You find the gate, it is construction element, very nice. You find a different decoration inside. When you look also inside, you find the fountain inside the open court, and also you find 4 arches. The arches, one of them too big, maybe biggest one now around all of the world, where this 2 big arch. Also very nice dome inside, where this dome cover tomb of Sultan Hassan. But Sultan Hassan general not was buried here where he was buried, or nobody can know where he was buried. But sure, his 2 sons were buried inside, one of them called Ismail, and another one called Bahauddin Ahmad. They were buried inside. So this building too important and very nice for anyone to see the Islamic construction in this time, and how the Islamic kings spent a lot of money to build their buildings, where we have a famous story around this building where Sultan Hassan, when he started to build his construction, he spent a lot of money, and he one day he wanted to stop because he spent a lot of money, but he said a shame for King of Egypt to stop construction he was started. So for this reason, by this we can know how he faced a lot of economic troubles to build his construction, because he spent a lot of money.
What about the importance of the madrasa in this context and in this mosque, and what did the madrasa add to the mosque and to the students that used to study in the madrasa?
Madrasa and mosque, when we look for both of them different design, where we called by a mistake, we called this Sultan Hassan Mosque this wrong name. This meaning madrasa. But madrasa in other side used for the prayer, because the students Muslim.
Yes, go ahead. But they are students that study here.
Study here, and also.
What do they study?
Study Islamic subjects, where like Sunnah traditions, and also Quran and religious subjects they studied.
And do they export this to abroad? This knowledge that they learn here at the madrasa. Do the preachers in the future go abroad and send this message?
So sure, but mostly here, when this time you find them, they were a local here to study in Middle Ages, where also this was a stage before to study in Al-Azhar University. So this we call this a school or a college before Al-Azhar University. After that, they go.
So this is before the Azhar University?
Studied for the education role. Like now where we have high school before college before university.
Oh, so they come here to the madrasa first, and then they go to the Azhar University, and then they go abroad as preachers to teach Islam.
Islam, but must be he have his a high degree from Al-Azhar University, because this degree not enough for him to teach Islam.
Yes, like elementary school, middle school, and then high school.
Sure, same system like this, but we talk about religious size, or religious subjects for this.
I guess we have come to an end to this segment with this regard. would you like to sign off?
Thank you, Dr. Mr. Yasser Sabak, Monuments Inspector, East Cairo. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for your informative knowledge. It's a pleasure to have you with us in our program. Dear viewers, this was this segment of Nile Cruise. Stay with us. Still, we're coming up more, and don't go away.